I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to quickly walk you through how I did it most recently. Well, it's an ongoing work. How I do it all the time at Wynter for myself. So I'm going to share my. I'm going to share my browser here. So okay, that's the website, right? So and I'm working on my messaging, right? I'm working on my messaging, and even though I'm the CEO founder, and I could say my way or the highway, I'm always wondering how something that I believe I want to say, how that resonates with the audience, or if my team members say, "Hey, what about using this particular verbiage? How would that go?" And then we debate internally, but it's like, well, then do we go with it or not? How do we make a decision? Or when we wonder, we want to say this, and the other thing, but which one of these is the most important thing for the customer? How would we know if they care about this feature? And maybe somebody in my team is really pushing where we should say this, up high, way high in the information hierarchy. Then how do you go about it? So, when I've logged into Wynter, I can launch all kinds of tests. So 2 things that I did. So first of all, I ran a message test on my older version of my own site, and I wrote this headline: "Make them want it." And the idea that I thought is very clever. I was very proud of myself. I thought it's like, make your target customer want whatever you're selling. Like, that's the idea, right? And so with message testing, I'm validating whether this is good. And the same, if your CEO wants to run with a headline or a statement, same idea. They are very proud of themselves, like I was. And then it's like, well, does the customer find this appealing? Do they find it good? And so on and so forth. And what I learned was that when I put it in front of marketing directors, my ICP, I learned that people are actually, I want to do highlight insights. So this is specifically about this part of the website. What's your first reaction? Else, make who want what? Okay, they don't get it. Title is sloppy and off-putting. Headline is a bit risque. Dare I say, sexy, and not in a good way. Ooh, not what I was going for. And everybody who wants to say a certain thing on the website, when they are confronted with data that what they're saying is not working, it's misinterpreted, it's they don't get it, it's just not hitting home, it's not resonating, every reasonable person will change their mind. Even though I love this headline and I praised myself, I said, I gotta stop this. I gotta drop this headline because it's just not working, right? and other things. One other thing that I found here, excuse me. So this part on my website. So I checked for, this is a message I wanted to communicate. How useful is this? I asked people to rate the usefulness on a 5-point scale and clarity. Do they get it? And not very useful, not very clear. Whereas my third section up here was scored as very useful and highly clear. Oh, great. And then I wanted to know, what about this was resonating with people? And I asked them, what about this resonated with you? And much best section so far, so many useful points. How fast you get results sounds amazing, all the stuff. And I'm like, I got it. So these things that I thought are less important things to say, actually really hitting home with the audience. And now, so what I did afterwards was I elevated this messaging. I moved it higher up in the information hierarchy. And so same idea. So your information hierarchy should, and the information hierarchy is like, what do we say? Saying above the fold, and the second section and third section, all of this should be not in a random order, but based on what is aligned with the challenges and priorities that the user has, right? And so I flipped it because I had data now. And so if we all argue inside a team, I said, well, see, this section here, not working well. This one really fucking working, right? So that's an example. I'll give you another example. So I did a survey, and the question I asked, so this is me surveying my target audience. And I was like, hey, I think conducting customer research is really big pain in the butt, right? And it is. but is it a perceived pain in the butt? So, and why I'm asking this is like, do I want to lead with this messaging? Hey, customer research is pain in the butt. We solve it. And then what I learned when I did this is like, it's actually it's a on average a 5 point something is not a hot big problem. And so I dropped it. And again, in your company, if somebody says we should lead with this messaging, you validate whether this how big of a pain is this. You can find this out in like 24 hours. Or another thing, we were debating which language to use for this. We considered like buyer intelligence, customer research. And so I asked, hey, you, my ideal target customer, what terminology do you use when discussing this particular thing? And guess what? They're saying pain points, and so on. Pain points. All right. They say pain points. It looks like, right? We're settling debates with data. Okay, that's how we call it. Okay, we're talking about customer pain points because that's the language they use inside their mind. Or I wanted to use this phrase, go-to-market research. It doesn't mean quite anything, right? I'm just making this up because maybe I want to start using this made-up lingo. And sometimes it's a really good idea to use your own, trademark lingo. But I wanted to know, what is the first association that comes to mind when people read go-to-market research before I do all this customer education and sell them on how I define it? I want to know how do they get it? And what I came away with was people think that go-to-market means product launches for the most part. For the most part, they think go-to-market means doing product launches, launching new products, which is not true at all. Go-to-market is not product launches. But if they think it is, then if I am communicating, hey, they'll go-to-market research, and they think that I'm talking about product launches, is an illusion of communication. So I was like, I'll rather drop this because it's too much work to re-educate. I'll better coin a new phrase that they have just no idea about, because go-to-market is one of those words that people just, it's not a unified understanding. Give you another example. So another survey, I did 30-person product marketing people. What I asked was, what's your biggest pain point? Actually, let me show you this particular question here. When I asked, what's your biggest pain point when it comes to working with messaging? And look at this, getting agreement between what we're saying with founders. There's a internal consensus is missing. Founders want to say one thing, product marketing wants to say another thing. Or pressure from CEOs, making sure messaging is unique, buy-in from key stakeholders, basically a bunch of things. So if I want to know, again, communicate the pain when it comes to messaging. So this lack of internal consensus and buy-in for messaging is the reason we're having this little workshop here, because it's something that comes up all the time. And of course, then there are other things as well. So now what I'm doing, or what I did, was I took this very thing, I analyzed the responses to this question, and I identified what are the top 3 pains in general when it comes to messaging. What are the perceived pain points? Very important that is perceived, not actual. And then I can message them back. So the newest version or the latest version of the Wynter messaging, and in what order do I say what here, comes from these surveys and these type of message tests. And then everybody on behind the scenes is aligned, because we have data on this. We're using this particular messaging because settling debates. Why do we say settle debates? Because we have data that this is a persistent pain point. That is something that's happening, and that's why we're talking here. So that's just a little quick walkthrough of how I solved my own pain here. Any questions about that? Any questions about what I was doing? And also, give me feedback whether what I just quickly show you made sense. I was recently talking to sales organizations, like product marketing is writing copy for SDRs, outbound email copy. And SDRs are like, I just want to say my own things. Why do I have to use this messaging? And product marketing is like, because I said so. And armed with data, then this changes the conversation. It's not adversarial relationship. It's like, hey, we tested this. We found that these 3 points resonate the best with the audience. These things that maybe you want to say here, actually, we have data saying that they don't care about it as much, And then it's like, oh, great. I'll be happy to use your template because we have data on messaging. And end of debates, end of arguments, boom, right? All right, so we're actually out of time. So if any of you would like to see this up close, just wynter.com, schedule a demo, and we can show you how it all works. Of course, you can just sign up and you're ready to go. It's self-serve platform.